What's up, future millionaires? I'm Mike the Investor, and then for today's video, we're going to talk about 10 things that will and are affecting the markets today. Now, this does pertain to the stock market as well as the crypto market, but I'm focusing on the crypto market because that's what I'm invested in. Now, there are timestamps down in the description below. If you are looking for a specific section in this video, we're going to briefly look at the overall price chart just as the top 100 cryptos. Secondly, we're going to ask the $1 million question, and then thirdly, we're going to look at the top 10 reasons on what's affecting the markets. Now, before we dive into today's content, I want to take a brief second to talk to you about the partner of today's video, 𝗖𝗢𝗥𝗬𝗣𝗧𝗖𝗢𝗠, which is the top crypto and precious metal IRA platform in the space today, and this can be used 24/7 365 at any time of the day to save on those capital gain taxes. Now, two new things about 𝗖𝗢𝗥𝗬𝗣𝗧𝗖𝗢𝗠. There's no longer a monthly fee that you have to pay, and also if this is your first time using 𝗖𝗢𝗥𝗬𝗣𝗧𝗖𝗢𝗠, you can now get $100 free in Bitcoin when using my link in the description down below. And as for the cryptocurrencies that you can purchase on the 𝗖𝗢𝗥𝗬𝗣𝗧𝗖𝗢𝗠 platform, you can see pretty much the top players in the space today. Now, last but certainly not least, which is very important for 𝗖𝗢𝗥𝗬𝗣𝗧𝗖𝗢𝗠 investors, is who they use for their cold storage to store their cryptocurrencies. They use Coinbase Custody and Curve, which are completely top-notch cold storage providers in the space today. So if you would like to check out 𝗖𝗢𝗥𝗬𝗣𝗧𝗖𝗢𝗠 for yourself and save on your capital gain taxes for the future and get $100 free in Bitcoin, go ahead and click the link in the description below. But now let's dive into the overall cryptocurrency market cap, just so we can see what it is at the time of this video. And we're also going to scroll and just see what the top 100 cryptos are doing as well, as we're looking at this volatility in the market today. So we're going to go ahead and dive into it right after this. What's up, investors? Welcome back to the channel. Now, we are on CoinGecko, and according to CoinGecko, we are currently down 8.1%. The cryptocurrency market cap is 2.2 trillion, and for the 24-hour volume, 112 billion. Now, as we look at Bitcoin dominance, 39.4%, and then we have ETH right at 20%. And so as we just move down a little bit on the past hour here, we can see things have kind of stop falling as much. However, if you look just on the 7-day and you look on the 24 hours, you can see pretty much everything is red except for the stable coins. And this is also a pretty good indicator as well. Something I haven't really talked too much about, but it does give you a pretty good indicator. Typically, when you see the market red, typically you're going to see your stable coins, they're going to be green. And when you see the market pumping like a lot and you see the volume here up a lot, typically you're going to see the stable coins in red. Now, that's just something I've noticed over probably a little bit over a year now, but that's just a key indicator to kind of look at. And so as we're just kind of scrolling down here, got Cardano now in 7th place, XRP, Polkadot here at number 9. You got Dogecoin. SHIB has definitely fell back down. You got Luna, which has been on a tear also, but it had a nice pullback on the 7-day. Polygon here, I'm extremely bullish on Polygon. Crypto.com as well. And so as we're seeing these dips, this is looking like a candy store to me. And so for me, just kind of a word of advice, if you're truly trying to get quantity, pick like your starting team, starting 5, and maybe 5 may be too much for you depending on how much you're investing. But if we're going to continue to experience volatility to the downside like we're seeing right now, I would recommend, or I wouldn't say recommend, not financial advice, but I would say try to look at a strong team that you believe is going to be here and build out those positions during the downtime. So that way, when things do finally recover back, you're going to have a lot more wealth. And so that's just, something I would say kind of take a look at. And so you can see we're getting into the lower 100 now. Basic attention token right above $1 here. Theta Fuel. But pretty much this is what the top 100 is doing. As you can see on that 24-hour, everything is pretty much red. Now, as I said, the past hour, everything has kind of tapered off just a tad. But for the most part, everything has been pretty much red. And so with that being said, the $1,000,000 question is, are we going to see a crash to the downside, which could potentially be the bear market, before Bitcoin hits 100,000 or after Bitcoin hits 100,000? And so I'm just going to ask that question one more time just so we can all be on the same page. The $1,000,000 question is Bitcoin going to crash to a bear market before it hits 100,000 or after it hits 100,000? And that's the $1,000,000 question that a lot of top analysts are trying to figure out. A lot of top technical analysis people are trying to figure out what's going to happen. But when you look at everything that's been going on in the world, and when you look at where we came from just at the beginning of this year, we were under 900 billion for the overall cryptocurrency market cap. And we hit a high of around 3.1 trillion. So that's 2.2 trillion that went into the cryptocurrency market cap just this year alone. So if you think about it from that perspective, that is still a ton of growth that we've seen in the cryptocurrency market, which leads us back to the $1,000,000 question. And so honestly, I have no idea. And it can go either way, but I will say, as Bitcoin keeps dropping, me personally, I think it's less likely that Bitcoin will have that reversal to the upside as it continues to break those higher lows that it previously set. That's just my personal opinion. Now, once again, things can happen in the cryptocurrency market as we have seen. Things can change like the weather. However, after we get done looking at these 10 things, these are things that's been happening for some time, and the narrative have been painted on these things for some time as well. And so the idea to do with this information is not to be scared, is not to be scared of not investing anymore, but to take this information to be prepared mentally, so that way when these things happen, you're not freaking out and you're not panic selling, because you are already prepared. You were just like, hey, it was just a matter of time for it to happen. So when you're aware of what's coming and what can happen inevitably, you are ready. And so let's go ahead and dive into 10 things here. Now, of course, you can break these down into other different things, but I wanted to make it as simple as possible. But here they are. Let's check it out. And so the first thing affecting the markets would be the Fed tapering, which means there's less quantitative easing, less money printing. That means there's going to be less liquidity and capital going into the markets to prop it up. So if that means there's a pullback, that means assets are going to suffer from that less liquidity going into them. Number two, we have the raise of interest rates, which is not good. The raise of interest rates, which leads us to number three, raising the interest rates on the debt ceiling in the US will be an extreme problem. We're close to around, I believe, 30 trillion in debt, right? And so when you look at trying to raise the rates on debt that already can't be paid back, you can see how this will affect the markets. Now, number three, which we kind of talked about, the debt ceiling for the US. Now, as this continues to grow, this puts the US in a worse position. Remember, the US has the Federal Reserve currency. And so if the debt ceiling continues to keep rising, what do you think is going to happen once it can't be paid back and things crash based off of that debt ceiling? It's going to completely devalue the Federal Reserve currency, which is the US dollar currently. And so what do you think happens next? And so these are things to just kind of keep in mind, right? Number four, we have the Evergrande real estate, which have the narrative has been painted on this for some time as well. They have mentioned that, hey, it can potentially happen that Evergrande can default on a payment. Well, guess what just happened? In December of this month, they defaulted not only on real estate payment, but they defaulted on bond payments as well. And so this is a big thing because the real estate market, they said, has been in a huge bubble for some time, and alone the real estate industry popping could have a catastrophic event on the markets for sure, because it's one of the biggest asset classes. Now we go to number five, which is inflation. As inflation rises, people also get nervous because now the living expenses increases, because things we need to live off of, goods and services, all that increases. So now this caused a panic on the world because inflation, everything is going up based off of what we're used to paying with. Now we get to number 6, the new variant strand. This definitely has had an effect on the market as we've seen what happened in 2020, 2019, these things happening. And so we can see how this can kind of change things in the market and make people very nervous on what may happen in the future. We get down to number 7, which is Bitcoin futures, which is people, betting on the price of Bitcoin. This affects the market definitely. When shorts are winning, when there are more sales than buys, this is going to affect the price of Bitcoin. And as we know, Bitcoin is the leading forerunner for the cryptocurrency market. If Bitcoin tanks, the market is going to follow. If Bitcoin sets new all-time highs, the market is going to follow. So these are things to understand as well. We get down to number 8, which is the trade war between the US and China. This is a big deal, and this actually takes us to inflation, because with the trade war going on, this affects the global supply chains, which raises the prices of things that we get on goods and services, which causes inflation as well. Not to mention debt and interest rates. All of that stuff is a form of inflation. Now we get down to number 9, which is the holiday season. People typically take profits around this time for family, to buy goods, to also set themselves up for whatever they may have planned for the following year. Now we get down to the last thing, which is number 10, and I put it at number 10, and this is not in really any particular order, but I wanted to do number 10 for panic selling, because you can see from these 9 things affecting the market, you can see how this can lead to panic selling. And so these are the 10 things that will and are affecting the markets today. And so remember, this information isn't to make you scared of investing or anything like that. It's to prepare you and make you mentally stronger, so when things do happen, you already have your ammo and your fighting equipment ready to go. And that's pretty much having your capital on the side to take advantage of unexpected dips, unexpected pullbacks, and unexpected crashes. And also, just by having this knowledge, it opens you up to other things as well, which is just how the world works. It opens you up to understanding different use cases as well of potential crypto projects, going after real-time use cases that affect these type of things. And so this is things just to kind of dive into on yourself. But if you gain some value from this video, most importantly, do me a favor and smash the like button. It really helps out the channel. And real quick, I do want to say I appreciate all the support from everyone. You guys been rocking with me, even the people that don't say the nicest things in the comments. I appreciate you all too. So much love to everybody. Hopefully you guys are having a great start of the week. But all right, future millionaires, that's all I got for you. Remember to stay inspired, stay motivated, always invest in yourself, and I'll see you guys back tomorrow.